something called writing process theory. I'm not going to get too academic on you, but this just gives you an idea of some of the stages that you go through in your writing. And I have two very simple, I guess you could say, formulas here that will help you, and you can't go wrong. Okay, this one is clear, and that's pretty simple, and they use this as a basis for teaching kids how to write in school. And if you're a teacher, you'd probably be familiar with this. C stands for choose topic. Remember what I said? Okay, one topic, one specific topic per piece. And this is where you would say, write your sentence that we were talking about. Now, each of these steps has a lot to it, but we'll just keep it simple for now. The next step is called layout details.
What's going to happen in your story? Just a nice quick outline. If it's a short story,
Make some notes.
Very easy.
Come up with an outline. Have any of you experimented with brainstorming? Okay, you could use brainstorming. We're going to play with that more in creative writing. Whatever works for you. You know, if you're a linear person, or maybe you take magazine pictures, you know, make a collage or something. I mean, whatever works. Execute, which is your first draft. And the important thing at this stage is that we call it free fall writing.
Don't analyze your writing, just write your story for as long as, if you've taken an hour to write the piece, set aside that hour or 2 hours.
Yeah, sit down in a session and write for X amount of time. Just woo, but looking at your ideas and your layout, so you have a bit of a roadmap. And what this does, this free fall, is that it automatically takes care of a lot of smoothness problems, okay? Because you're not stop, start, stop, start. Don't go back to the paragraph at this stage before and spend all day correcting that paragraph because you go move on to the next thing. You have a very choppy piece.
Don't worry about your spelling, your grammar, your paragraph, just let it flow.
How many people go back and correct as they write? Anybody here? Okay, well, you want to get that out of that habit.
It's more like writing letters to people and stuff like that. I don't like how that looks, and I'll change a sentence before I even go on further.
The next part is called analyze, and this is where you go back and read the piece. And we'll call this the editing phase. And then R is for rewrite. And this is where you sit down and take your corrections from here and make your second draft better. Second draft. Now, as you know, as Rand was saying about Sterling Haynes, I get tired after the 9th draft. Well, I mean, there are people who keep rewriting and rewriting forever until it's perfect, which is fine. But there is a point at which you're going to want to stop and say, okay, enough already, because you can actually edit the shit out of your story so there's nothing left. Okay, so you don't want to overly do it.
There are 2 breaks I would take in this process. One of them is here, is choose your topic and do your outline. Set it aside, whether it be on the same day, just give yourself some time away, and then come back and look at it again. And then do the execution of it. Then you're doing the writing. And between this point and this point, I would take at least an overnight break. Let it be written. Just write it out and put it away. That's one of the greatest lessons that you can learn, is that at times you need to step back and let your mind think after you've performed the duty.
Time is good. Time is good.
With King in his novels, he literally writes his first draft, puts the whole manuscript in a drawer, and doesn't come back to it for 6 months.
That's a good idea.
6 months. Because he wants to get away from what's been in his head for however long it's taken him to write it.
And when you do go back to do your editing, there's a couple of things you can do. One is you can read it out loud to yourself. The other one is to get somebody else to read it to you, because you'll begin to see the rough patches.
Yeah.
Something else, which is a good technique for the editing, and this is Dave Burdett, he had this tip, and that is try editing it from the end backwards.
One sentence at a time.
Like what I mean is just look at one sentence at a time, and that way you'll pick up on technical errors and.
Because you don't
That
follow
sort of
story
thing, yeah.
flow then,
Mhm.
you're just looking at the sentence by
Also
sentence.
go from the end of the book to the beginning of the book?
Right,
Oh.
exactly. That's what he
I
did.
mean, not
with
reading it in a mirror, but.
No, I understand. No.
Now, of course, you don't have 6 months with this piece, so what I would recommend is in the next 2 days, choose your topic and lay out your details. And then take a break, an overnight break, or whatever, and then in the middle of the week, maybe execute, depending on what your schedule, like you guys have to find out how
Is
you
this
wanna
gonna come
perform.
down to, we need to save this on our computer for following classes?
Your
No.
piece?
We
Yeah,
haven't said anything about computers.
and that's where mine's going off,
No.
Well, you'll probably want to.
yeah?
I would keep
But it's
it
not gonna
flat.
be a continuing thing at the end of the course, we're gonna need to have like
No.
a book figured out?
No.
No.
Okay, good.
What do you mean by layout, like layout details? Can you just, I know it sounds silly to ask that question, but.
That's
What-
okay.
what is
Making
your-
an outline.
What is your
For
character
example,
going
what's,
to do?
what's gonna be
What's
in
gonna
it?
happen?
What's-
Okay.
Okay, here, just to give you a little bit of an example here.
Take place maybe,
Just
For,
like,
for some of you, this isn't gonna happen. I wrote a short story. I was inspired by the sci-fi writer Philip K. Dick, all right? He had an interesting story, and I read it, Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep, or something like that, whatever. So I played with the title, I did another title, and I wrote a story in about 2-3 hours. And it just came to me. I didn't do layout, I didn't do, I chose my topic. I knew what the topic was going to be. But the story was a linear story. There was nothing to worry about. It just flowed out. Some of us call it the muse, right? You catch your
Yeah, what
muse
if you just do that?
and it just flows out of you,
Well,
right?
you can, but, what I mean is it's, some people, they work this out in their head before they put it on paper, and that's
Yeah.
fine.
Mhm.
But there's different, you can try something new, okay? So like, there's your basic outline. What I mean is, okay, what's gonna be in the story? It's gonna be in point form. You're going to write down the events that take place in the story. That's pretty easy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Who are your
That's what we
characters?
call a linear outline.
Okay.
Who are your characters,
Wouldn't
right?
it sort of save time too, to actually have that outline, because what happens is later, you could have forgotten so many
Yes.
things. and
Well,
then
of
you have to go
course.
back
It
through and
helps
finish
you to
all.
realize what your conclusion is. When you're starting here, it allows you to remember, well, I know that I'm ending, whether it's a tragic love story or a heroic adventure.
And you get to,
what-
you
right?
also get to tinker with the plot, like maybe.
And it might change as
So
you're
it
performing.
might be more effective if this
Yeah.
happened, because a lot of decisions for movie scripts, for example, are made on what we call the synopsis, and it's usually a few sentences which sums up the plot line,
That's true, yeah.
right? So that's what you could develop if you wanted to. So this is a linear outline. Another type of outline is where we say, we're gonna do a profile of Susie, right? So then we're gonna put a circle around her name, and then we're gonna go around and everything that comes to mind about Susie.
What her traits are,
Yeah.
what she looks like, color of her eyes,
What's her situation?
what nervous tics does she have.
Oh,
And this is called what sort
This
of?
is called brainstorming.
This is mind mapping, right?
Or mind mapping, there's a number of terms for it. What we'll do right now is we'll practice with this right now, okay, because it's quite a fabulous technique. It really works very, very well. Wendy, you use this quite
Oh,
often.
yeah.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
Wendy's been through the drill a number of times. Okay, let's work with a word. okay? A